Hi guys, Elton Subway Surfer Bowling here. Today I'm going to have you guys look over my shoulder and watch me draw a character that I created during those awful COVID days. This is my COVID caricature, cartoon caricature sketch is what this is. Now, as soon as you add a baseball cap, it's automatically a hip-hop character. It's kind of a cartoon rule, it seems like. These were the days that we were all wearing those blue masks. And I was sitting at my desk and wondering, what would a hip-hop character look like in that mask? Is there any way to make him look cool? And I remember when I created a character originally, I made a little public announcement with the character. Eventually, this character was put on t-shirts, and it came out pretty cool. I'll let you look at the original design once this video is over. I'll just attach it to the back. But let me tell you about what I'm doing. Okay, what I've just done is I've just made an undersketch in gray on the first layer, and now I've chosen another layer where I'm going to do my inking. This is sure easier than the old days. In the old days, I would be using tracing paper to make the design, making the undersketch on one sheet of paper, discarding that, using another sheet for the inking, photocopying that, and putting it into a computer to color it or coloring it by hand. This way is so much more efficient, and believe it or not, I fought digital artwork to the death. I was a purist. I thought you were cheating by using a computer, by using Photoshop or Illustrator or even this art studio app that I'm using. I soon found out that this is a more efficient way to do this. Now, this might seem strange to you guys, but I'm 63 years old, and we have a tendency to do things the old way because it's the right way, and I don't see any need to change like these young whippersnappers. But it's a stupid idea. It's insane. Now, in the course of this video, my phone might ring. I'm just going to include that in there because this is like my fourth take on this, and I really want to get through this video, so we'll just add a touch of reality by me talking on the phone also. Okay, so now that I've got my inking down,
Oh, that's real good.
I go to the first layer and I start erasing that gray undersketch. In the old days, I would just discard the tracing paper, but this way is a lot cooler, a lot cleaner. Haven't thought of a name for the character, but now that I'm looking at it again, that's a duck on top of his head. I think I'll name the character Homie and Crackers. There you go. No, or rather, Homie and Quackers. Yeah, not very original, but it'll work until I can think of a better name. Okay, now that we've done the erasing, I do another layer to do the coloring, and this part is really important. I choose the multiply feature. That way, I can easily color and not cover up the lines. In the Art Studio app, if you don't use the multiply feature and start coloring, you will cover up all of your lines, or you'll just have to work way too hard not to mess up the black lines. This makes it a lot easier. I love digital artwork. I don't know how I ever got along without it. Great thing about the Art Studio app is that the free version works fine. I've used it for years. They have a paid version. I have no idea what it does. Maybe it gets you coffee. I don't know what else it does, but for my needs, for creating an illustration, for inking it, for coloring it, That's all I really need. And thank God, I don't need Photoshop to do that, which costs hundreds of dollars. Not even to own, but to rent. Okay, but enough of that rant. I'm gonna have periods of silence here because there's not much to talk about. Now, I either use the pencil tool to do the coloring, but if I really want to make things go faster, I use the spray can tool, adjusting the amount of paint that comes out of it. I always wanted to be a graffiti artist, to be the guy who painted on the walls. I wanted to specialize in doing characters, but two things stopped me: possible jail time, and also it would really annoy me. It would have annoyed me, rather, to be doing an elaborate cartoon sketch only to have some clown come along out of jealousy and draw over it, or to have the cops at some point just erase all my work. Back in the old days, in the 70s, graffiti was king. But what happened is they came out with a solvent that cleaned off all of the trains, and that was it for that era. But I sure wanted to be a part of it, and my artwork was heavily influenced by that part of hip-hop culture. Loved it. For those of you who are art aficionados, I actually met Keith Haring, the famous Keith Haring. I didn't meet him in the sense that he introduced himself to me. We never spoke. I just saw him at 68th Street and Lexington Avenue, the Hunter College stop in New York City, and he was creating one of his illegally famous artworks in chalk.
Oh, that's real good.
I should have talked to him. Okay, on my original drawing, I just had a hip-hop character. I just drew his hat. But as I was creating this, I decided, why don't I make this hat into a character also? Especially since you're not looking at the eyes of the hip-hop character. We'll call him Homie. Especially if you're not looking at Homie's eyes. I figured in a cartoon animated situation, this duck character on top of his head can be his eyes and talk for him. Now, those of you who are plagiarists, this is my idea. It's copyrighted, okay? So, please, let's have courtesy. It's my idea. I'm running with it. But of course, if you want to plagiarize it, there's nothing I can really stop you. Just had to get that out. You know, while I'm at it, people who are artists should really be courteous of other artists online. Just because you find something you like online, it's not for free. Somebody created that. Somebody worked and labored over that. I would never do that to anyone. I have never done that to anyone, and I sincerely hope that nobody does it to me. Well, that's that rant. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. In fact, this duck character for the hat is something I thought up just as I was doing this. So like I said earlier, sometimes you have these happy accidents that happen when you are creating. And that's why I love creating digitally so much, because you can experiment with these things. If somehow your idea didn't work out or looks corny or stupid, you can just erase it. That's why it's also so important when you're creating digitally and you're using new elements, like the color, like the line, like the undersketch, that you do them on separate layers, because I can't tell you how many times I've created something beautifully on one layer and then had to change something crucial, and it's a nightmare to clean up. When you're working on a separate layer, you can just erase it. You can just modify it right then and there. That's something I had to learn the hard way. I learned all my lessons the hard way, it seems. we're putting in the skin tone. I need to do a full body sketch of this character to give him more personality. Yeah, I think that I'll make that my next project. And once I create it, I'll post the results to you guys and also have you guys look over my shoulder like you are now as I'm creating it. We're almost done. If you've been with me this far, thank you so much for staying with me. We're not done yet, but I encourage you, if you have questions, if you have comments, please put them in the comments section. And also that you like, comment, share especially, and most of all, subscribe. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. I'm not wrapping up. I'm not wrapping up yet. We still got a little more to do. Okay, I figured if you're gonna do hip hop, you gotta have an earring. I'm an old school guy. I don't know what people are wearing today in hip hop, but I know back in the day, you had to have an earring.
You've got to get a hold of yourself.
Okay, so he's got his earring. And here's the public service announcement. Because when I originally made it, it was kind of a public public service announcement for masking up. That's the message. When I originally made this, I wanted to have something fun and relatable for young people, which may be kind of naive on my part as an older person. I mean, what do I think is gonna happen? Somebody's gonna see this great sketch of mine and say, you know, that looks cool. I think I'll mask up and look like that cartoon. These are ridiculous things that adults like me think. But who knows, maybe it will touch somebody. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, now I usually add white like this for an accent. It has no value whatsoever, but I just kind of like it. It's something I borrowed from some cartoonist that I saw. Now, you're allowed to borrow. You're not allowed to do things verbatim. I think every cartoonist borrows from somebody. The bill of this duck, I borrowed that from watching hours of Looney Tune cartoons. It took me a while to get into the rhythm of that sketch to do the bill correctly, but once I got it, I sure do use it when I'm drawing people wearing hats. That made that underneath there darker because that's a shadow area. Okay, and no sketch would be complete without the artist's signature. Elgin and the copyright date. Copyright 24. So, there's Homie and Quackers. Or we can call them Daquan and Duck. How about, I like that better, Daquan and Duck. Coming at you. This is Elgin Subway Surfer Bowling, your creative caricature marketing consultant. By the way, this is the original hip-hop homie sketch that I did during those awful COVID mask-wearing days. And it turns out that he did have a name. Be Safe. Be Safe. Yeah, I know it's corny, but what do you want from a guy who's 60 plus years old? And there's the hip-hop message written in graffiti style, mask up. And I've got some great t-shirts with this image on it. If you're interested, and I hope you are, let me know in the comments section.